Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generations discussion on the fallout from Boruto Chapter 72, as well as a follow-up to a video that we dropped here on the channel a few days ago where we discussed the scene from the Boruto novel where Sarada had a vision of Sakura's death, and it shook her to the point where she went to speak to Naruto about it, only to be too afraid to share with Naruto the details about the vision she saw, where Sakura died in some attack that happened in the village during a war. Well, if you've read Boruto Chapter 72, you know things have definitely taken a turn for the worse when it comes to Konoha, because Code, in his desperation to avenge Ishiki Otsutsuki's death, has created an army of ten-tailed soldiers, and he appears poised to unleash them on those who he viewed as being responsible for Ishiki's death. And in particular, he wants to destroy Konoha because he knows destroying the village is how he believes he will be able to cause Kawaki the most pain, since Kawaki's grown noticeable attachments to the village since he's been adopted by Naruto. Code targeting the village means Kishimoto as a writer potentially has an avenue to do what he warned us was on the table at Jump Festa 2017, where he stated he had no problem killing off characters from the old generation to raise the conflict for Boruto's story. And in a way, it stays in line with one of the themes of Naruto, where the older generation of elite shinobi falls in battle and returns to the earth in order to be the nourishment for the next generation of shinobi, who becomes the tree that grows out of that seed that was planted in the sacrifice of the older ninja. It comes down to how Kishimoto views Code as a narrative threat. This also brings up a major question, since he's aiming to both capture Boruto and destroy the village. Which route does he go when unleashing his ten-tailed soldiers? So far, he's only been shown with the ability to control one at a time, which means he might have to make a decision. But I venture to say that since he made so many of them and he infused them with his chakra, and since they have his claw marks, he should be able to control multiple ten-tails at once from a remote position. Perhaps even going as far as how Tiiger was able to control his puppets, which are controlled by the mind according to the Naruto Last movie novel. If this is indeed the case, Code will be able to divide and conquer, which benefits him since he's already used the law from the 48 Laws of Power that speaks about concentrating your forces. Right now, he's got the element of surprise. He's regrouped and regathered his forces, and he's got a short window for his plan to work before Ada and Damon arrive in Konoha. And I don't believe Amato saying it will take them 3 days is by mistake here either from a narrative perspective. That was potentially placed in the story to give Code a window to act before he ultimately takes his next L. That being said, does he send one group of ten-tailed soldiers after Boruto once he learns that Sarada is leading Team 7 on a mission outside the village, and then send another group to the village to cause havoc? I believe both are definitely a possibility to happen, though I think hunting down Boruto is the more likely of the two options. However, what would be the narrative benefit if he went to Konoha and he did what he said, which is kill people and destroy the village? Well, for one, right now the village is actually more vulnerable than it's ever been in a long time. This is the first time since Naruto's been Hokage where the village doesn't have its break glass in case of emergency option, which is the power of the Nine Tails inside of Naruto. Kurama is dead and gone due to the sacrifice that came as a result of Baryon mode. Sasuke has now lost the Rinnegan. Naruto right now is no longer the strongest ninja in the village because we know for a certainty that Kawaki's stronger than him, and Kawaki's power is unrivaled by anybody in the village right now. However, if Code does attack, Team Sarada will be away on their mission, which is likely to go and escort Amato back to the village. If Code wanted to have a good time to attack the village, right now is as good of a time as he's ever going to get. Not only that, but right now, we don't even know if Sasuke is even still in the village, but let's assume that he actually is. Having these ten-tailed soldiers pull up as a surprise attack on Konoha, it changes everything, because Naruto will be in a similar position as Tsunade in the Pain arc, except Naruto's situation is going to be far worse, and here's why. As the 7th Hokage, Naruto has a much larger population to worry about protecting, organizing their evacuation, and that's not even accounting for the fact that Konoha is the capital of the Land of Fire right now, which means there are other civilians and VIPs who aren't Konoha citizens who travel to the village for leisure purposes or for business purposes. If there are casualties, you're gonna see somebody like Sakura leading the medical organization, but given this is a 10 tails level threat, it's very likely she's gonna have to delegate the medical work to Shizune, who might be a less skilled medic than Sakura, but she's still more than experienced enough to oversee something like this. After all, Shizune was the lead Jonin medic during the 4th Great Ninja War. You can also believe that if Sasuke is still in there in the village and he's fighting off these soldiers, Sakura is not going to be too far behind her husband, especially now that he's had the Rinnegan destroyed and is weaker than before. Sakura ran the tests on Naruto and Sasuke right there with Katasuke. She knows exactly how much power both of them have lost. While she isn't as strong as either one of them, she's still one of the strongest ninjas in Konoha, which despite the nonsense that people have suddenly begun spewing saying that she's the weakest member of the Konoha 11 in the Boruto era, which is absolutely absurd unless you somehow think Kiba and somebody like Shino just jumped up in power to the point where they surpassed Sakura, who when she was weaker could break Kaguya's horn, and Kiba and Shino and Tenten and some more people now have more chakra than one of Naruto's 6-pass chakra mode shadow clones, which seriously, if you think any of those guys have improved that level, Kiba, who? Tenten, who? Shino,
I beg your pardon?
If you think they got chakra levels that high, I'm gonna need Lady Tenten to smack you with a drug test faster than Konohamaru became a disappointment in Boruto.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap. No bullshit, bro.
That being said, what is the benefit to Sakura going to the battlefield? Well, in my opinion, given that this would be yet another invasion of Konoha, and Kishimoto as a writer has just removed the strongest ninja in Konoha by having Kawaki leave with Team Sarada, we can't have another invasion of Konoha and not have at least one person die. Why? Because this will literally be the 3rd time in universe in roughly 2 years in universe where Konoha was invaded by a foreign power. Momoshiki and Kenshiki pulled up to the village, and according to the Boruto movie novelization, Momoshiki's attack wouldn't have just destroyed the stadium and all the people in it if Naruto hadn't blocked and contained the explosion, which, side note, that speaks volumes to both his chakra levels as well as his skill with chakra as Hokage, but it would have destroyed the village and the surrounding area if Naruto hadn't done this. Ishiki pulled up to the village, and in the manga, he did some damage to some fodder tuning, and in the anime, he slapped around Konohamaru, Lee, Tenten, Choji, and Kiba, but Ishiki didn't kill anyone, because he wasn't going there with the intent to destroy, and Naruto at least was strong enough that he could hold Ishiki's attention long enough to be played with. However, this time is different. Naruto has no QB chakra to stack on top of any additional power. Code is coming to Konoha for a very similar objective. He's looking for Atsuki vessels. One he's gonna kill, and one he's gonna feed to the Jubi, but he expressly stated the desire to kill people and the desire to destroy the village. He can't show up and not take a life. Otherwise, this whole situation becomes an issue of the law of diminishing returns. How many times can you realistically have someone this strong roll up to Konoha and in this case state that he's going to give the streets a body, but then turn around and leave without doing just that or even coming close to doing something like that? This will be about as unfulfilling as some of Vince McMahon's booking decisions towards the end of his run in the WWE. I think one way to make this have a more satisfying conclusion is to have someone like Sakura or Sasuke get killed off. Now, if you put a pistol in my head and you said choose, I'd say Sakura, but not because I hate the character, but rather narratively, I think there's a lot here that can benefit the story if she were to die. With Sasuke, the only reason I don't believe you kill him off right now is the fact that Sarada at some point will get her Mangekyo Sharingan, and she's going to need Sasuke's EMS transplanted into her eye, which is going to be a nasty power up because that's unprecedented. We've never seen anybody with an EMS transplant that EMS eye into somebody that has a Mangekyo. I don't think training matters at all here because, as I've said before, when we take into account the light novels, which Boruto's mangas pulled a lot of information from, as well as the anime, we've technically seen Sasuke train Boruto more times than we saw Jiraiya train Naruto in the Naruto manga, where he had to spend 2.5 years teaching Naruto the basics because Naruto was abysmal at shit that he should have learned at the academy. However, with Sakura, killing her off does a couple things. If it happens around Sasuke, we get the payoff of Sasuke's own fears from the Sasuke Shinden Book of Sunrise novel, set after the 4th Great Ninja War, where he stated that if anything happened to a loved one, he wouldn't be able to stop himself from falling back into the darkness, or rather, he was afraid he couldn't stop himself, especially if Naruto wasn't there to save him, to keep him from going back into that darkness. With the Uchiha, their ocular powers are linked to their emotions, most notably their hate. And if Sasuke sees Sakura die, that's going to be one hell of a hatred amp. And we have the potential to see that struggle with Sasuke. We also, most importantly, have the fallout when it comes to Sarada. As I discussed in my video last week, Sarada did have a vision of Sakura dying during an attack on the village, and that novel was written by the former Boruto writer Ukyo Kodachi, so there is something to play with here. However, Sarada's relationship with Sakura has grown quite a bit since we were first introduced to it in depth in Naruto Gaiden. This would be a good way to pay off some of the things from that. Sarada was worried about her mother back when she was an academy student and about to graduate. Fate spared her that heartbreak of losing a parent. What better way to control this tonal shift towards part 2 than by having a child go through the pain of losing a parent? After all, the Boruto era opened up with a time of peace between the 5 major nations. The children benefited from their parents having nothing but time to train their children due to there being no open conflict. The bonds of parent and child have been a prevalent theme in everything in the Boruto era, related from Naruto chapter 700, where Boruto struggled to understand Naruto's position as Hokage, to Naruto Gaiden, where Sarada's family was made whole again with the return of Sasuke, to everything we've seen in the Boruto anime and manga, where the bond of parent and child has been a core theme of part 1. Along with the theme of breaking free of familiar bonds itself and choosing your own destiny. The only drawback to killing Sakura here is that as of right now, she hasn't passed on her own will of fire, nor has she passed on all of her knowledge in medical ninjutsu. However, that's the ugly part of being a ninja. Tomorrow isn't promised. That's a cliche of Naruto, passing down your will of fire and your knowledge, but not everybody gets to do so. For instance, Neji died a very beautiful death, but there are no children of Neji's running around, and he didn't pass on his knowledge to the next generation, at least not yet, because we do know from one of the novels that Neji does have a journal relating to the Byakugan and techniques that he was in the process of developing, but no one from the new generation has read that book yet. So that would be one sad thing about Sakura dying. But right now, the streets need a body, and Sakura does fulfill that need, because killing Kiba wouldn't matter because nobody cares about Kiba. That being said, how do you guys feel about Sakura dying if Code does attack? If it's not Sakura, then who from the old generation would need to die in order for this to resonate? While you think that over, consider watching these other videos on the screen right now.